What's up, everybody? Welcome to Channel 7 Club Curling. I'm your host, Joe Widmer. This is the third episode. Today, we're going to Eau Claire, Wisconsin for a great game. I've got a great co-host here in a second. Let's get the game going and get up to speed. We've got Skip's Final Stones. Looks like we're in the fourth here. Yellow's sitting two, but they've got Hammer coming up. Let's do a recap real quick. Red starts off with the big deuce. You're seeing a trend here in a second. Yellow scrub. Only for two. And red fights through and gets their second deuce. So that puts us where we're at now. I'm going to introduce my guest. He's a buddy of mine. He's curling royalty in the Twin Cities. He's an author. He's a cat dad. He's the man. Welcome, Joel Ingersoll, everyone. Hey, Joel.
Hey, how's it going? Royalty seems a little strong. I don't know.
We speak of you in auspicious tones when you're not around.
No. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Well, like I said, you are an author, and I want to get to the book. I'll be nice. And but we got Yellow throwing an important hammer here. They've got two already. And then I also want to talk about Eau Claire. It's a club I've never played before. Everybody I've ever played against from Eau Claire dismantles me really well, so I know they've got good curling out there. But let's catch up with this guy. He's got a couple ports to go through. He's going through the easier one. He just needs to hit paint, essentially. He's got a little red nibbler he's got to outcount.
Look at me straining in to see if I can actually see the overhead closer. It doesn't work, but I'm trying to see if that last yellow is biting, and it's not. You know, those jerseys, I am digging them.
Yeah.
They totally feel like, Adidas did a alternate kit for St. Patrick's Day for a soccer team.
Nice.
Totally digging that.
Well, I should say, when I was chopping this up, I didn't watch every single shot, but I do believe that they considered the tick on this one. 4 is on the table with a little bit of help.
Yeah. It looks like that's pretty close to the tick. Yeah. Look at that. Oh.
Ooh.
That was really close.
That was close, yeah. So that broke the deuce cycle. They get a little bit of a lead. Yellow 5, red 4, red with hammer. Yeah, what do you know about Eau Claire? Eau Claire, Wisconsin, for those who don't know.
I have been told I need to curl there. I've been told I've needed to curl there for a long, long time. Everybody speaks incredibly highly of the club. And you're right. Every time I play an Eau Claire team, they dismantle me, completely beat the pants off me.
Yeah.
But, the closest I've come is lacrosse, which we did a couple of times, and that was a lot of fun. But I have not yet curled at Eau Claire.
Yeah, the first time I played an Eau Claire team, it was at the Big Spiel, and there were these guys in kilts, which is always a bad sign. You're about to lose. Yep. And they taught me a lot about etiquette and stuff. they were hardcore. They're like, get your finger off the ice, and I was like, oh. I was a first-year curler at the time. I would shoot my shot, and I would sit there, and he goes, your finger doesn't need to be on that ice, and I go, oh, duh. So
yeah, it's a really hard thing with new curlers and etiquette, because you want to coach them correctly, but you also don't want to seem like a giant jerk.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 8-0 score that was the jerkiest thing he had done. He was really nice about it.
Well, and I mean, and some of the stuff that we run into at our home club at Frogtown, right? I mean, some of the etiquette stuff seems a little kind of silly, but then every game you've got rocks flying all over the place because people aren't paying attention to their own sheet.
I know exactly what you're talking
brooms
about.
on
Yeah.
the next sheet or being waved in front of your shot, all sorts of stuff like that. And, a lot of that's just ice awareness and being aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody's freaking out about it at Frogtown or any other club, but it's definitely
If
can
you
be
don't let people know, they'll never know. It's just as simple as
right.
that.
Right, but the Minnesota thing is to do it passive aggressively or not
Yeah.
say anything at all until it bubbles up, and then you're like angry with them instead of instructional, and that's a really hard spot to fit.
Joel, I know the answer to this, but where are you from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
How long you been here?
Minnesota, I have been 18 years.
Okay, you're officially one of us now. Okay, that passive aggressive comment. I just always wonder how long it takes a transplant to sort of learn that's how we operate, and we're never going to change.
Oh yeah, when I first moved here and I first started working here, I had a coworker who was complaining that I was mean. And like, I'm not a mean person in any way, shape, or form. But what I discovered was,
That's a
well,
dick.
okay, fine, yeah, I was really mean to you on Friday.
You're
What
right.
I
You're right.
what I discovered was because Cleveland is actually more East Coast than Midwest. All of Ohio is mostly Midwest, but Cleveland's more East Coast. I would just say things bluntly, not bluntly, but like directly,
Oh
and
God.
and that would rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, that's never going to fly around here. You just can't do that.
No.
Huge football. What's going on in the curling world right now? What you watching?
Uh, well, it's super exciting that we can start watching the Scotties. I haven't watched a game yet, but
Oh,
that
I'm
came up
sorry.
in it.
I'm sorry. You fell into my trap. We're just watching 8 dudes play curling. This is the Notties here, bro.
This
Tournament
is
of Dudes. Tournament of Dudes. Actually, I had a really cool kind of Scotties all lady game pulled up, and it was edited and ready to go. And I played with Joel on Friday, and we sort of talked about some stuff. And the game I pulled up, no spoilers because I'll use it in the future, was the first end event of the Polar Spiel,
mm,
which happened to be there were actually 3 teams vying for that spot. It ended up being all ladies, and I was like, "Oh, what a great idea! The Scotties are kicking off this weekend. I'll pull it up." And then you said something. You go, "Yeah, I was looking over them because you were going for the second event there or something."
yeah, yeah.
That's it. And all of a sudden, I was like, "I can't." Like not only did we already do a Frogtown podcast, but like you were right there. I got to keep it fresh. So I went
And it
back to
runs
the
the
drawing
brand.
board. I went back to the drawing board, and I was like, okay, it's really hard to find 2 all-women teams in a good game, and I
Mhm.
just came up with this. It's just boom,
Well, it's
boom.
interesting because we talked about that over the years, right? You look at a league and it's all guys, and maybe like 3 or 4 teams have a woman on them. But Frogtown in the last couple of years has really uh, gotten a lot more women curling, and I think that's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah,
I did the Polar Spiel with 3 women for most of it. I'll do the Frogtown Spiel with 3 women on my team. I have 2 women on my Monday team, and a woman on my Wednesday team. But the other night I looked across the sheet, we had 4 women skipping,
yeah,
and the teams were open; they weren't all women, but we had 4 women skipping and 2 more vice skipping, and I thought that was real testament to sort of the openness of our club. I mean, Four Seasons is kind of like that too. You have a lot of women competitors, and I think that's great.
yeah. I mean, to me, it's like as a 5-year curler, I think a lot of the growth has happened as I was getting there. So it doesn't. And I curl with my wife, and
Mhm.
I seem to find myself on teams that are mixed anyway. So to me, it seems perfectly normal. And usually the women, wipe me up and down the ice. So I see it as being totally normal. I wonder what these cold dark days in the middle of central Wisconsin, if these guys are having a harder time than we are, or if that's something all clubs are starting to see.
Well, okay, so my theory on that is actually, so was it the 60s was when women were able to start curling at St. Paul? Is that right? I don't know the date off the top of my head,
I
but
don't want to get it wrong because I know there's like a really interesting
Mhm.
history there, but yeah, I know it wasn't right away for sure.
So if you think about the more established clubs tend to have a lot of old white dudes curling at them.
They sure do.
And as I joked with somebody else the other day about getting a spot in a 6 o'clock league, they're going to have to wait for me to be carried out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're looking to add any kind of diversity to a club, part of the problem is you've got a bunch of old white guys who've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, anyone. Just there are people that there are family type rinks at St. Paul that they have a 3 generation thing going on, and they fully intend to keep it in the family, and
Yep.
and so if they want to suddenly diversify or something, it's not as simple as it sounds. It's
Mhm.
noble that we're all trying it, but it does take time. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have not been paying attention to this game at all. I apologize for that.
I always kind of like around skip stones or at least the thirds. I start to get it, I let the leads do their thing, but yeah, like I said, I don't watch every shot of these. I do some light editing to just sort of put that scoreboard up there. Sometimes I can remember who wins, but what happens in the game is totally new to me. So, and I definitely don't know who's making shots and who's not. But
Yeah.
I do know that this third that just threw has a hat, and
Yeah.
that tells me he came to play.
Oh, absolutely. I can't curl without a hat on.
But
It's
a
not
funny hat.
usually jaunty, but it's jaunty.
Yeah.
But I can't curl without a hat.
That being said, came a little heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like this game because I like when rocks are play. I like when teams are scoring multiples. So I hope we got a pretty evenly matched up game here.
Yeah. Well, and that's hits are boring, right? Well, I mean, big hits are great and
Yeah,
exciting, but you don't get that unless you're throwing a lot of rocks in play.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. So park this thing top button. I'm guessing is where it's probably where I'd have my guys. There's no run back. The yellow is maybe got a desperation corner run in.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd put it there, but
Well, you're guarding that up. You've got a pretty well protected. If you try to, if you could peel out the two yellows, because you had two rocks left, so you could peel out the yellow and the red that are right on the center line, and then you've got straight back after that. But I don't see what the point in doing that would be.
well,
If
see, yeah,
you've
I
got
think with
you.
red's got a hammer.
Oh, yellow doesn't have hammer.
Yeah, so yellow's taking a look at that corner. It's
Yeah.
probably with that crazy guard they just threw. Yeah.
Well, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm starting to see it, but I'm at a point in my curling career where I take those little angle runs, essentially a tap. I take
Yeah.
those taps more than I like throwing into new paths and outside, really outside in stuff. I'd
Well,
probably
if
be
you
taking a serious look at it.
yeah, if you think about it, so with this, you just throw a draw,
Yeah.
right? And if it stays a little bit out, you've got the whole forefoot and the pin to sweep it in there. If
Mm-hmm.
it stays narrow, then you pound it and you see if you can't move it back enough. Even if you don't move it back enough, you got another shot at it.
Totally.
So call the shot, call a draw,
Yeah.
and if it runs a little tight, then you can tap back.
Yep.
Now, of course, if it's me, I'd throw it 3 feet short of everything, and then
Sure.
I guarded the
And just
tap.
ensure that you have no final shot. How
Exactly.
much do you as a skip? I struggle with this sometimes. My front end really wants to know precisely where I intend to tap that stone up, and it sort of got to this point where I just go, I want you to throw back four at this broom, and me
Mm-hmm.
and as a line caller, I'll call it into the right spot.
Yep.
How much
There
do you
you go.
translate to your front end? It looks like you got something there. Not
What
too
I
heavy.
usually do for my front end, and I did this a little bit when we played on Friday. We played mixed on Friday night, in case anyone watching is
We
wondering.
did. We did.
What I normally will do is I'll call a shot, and then I'll say, "But this is a good result as well." And I'm tapping the broom, and there you go.
Mhm.
There, camera's not where I was expecting it. We don't really like, other than the skip trying to get the exact line, where does it have to hit on the rock to do the angle, or the vice skip, it doesn't really matter. Throw backline weight, throw back four weight, and throw it at this broom, and the
Yeah.
miss is either light or heavy. And so that's what I try to do is, okay, I want you to throw it to the top four, But the miss is throw air on the side of being light, and then it's a guard, or air
Yeah.
on the side of being heavy, and there's something in the back that we can work with. So yeah, it's not, oh, hit this exactly here. I
Yeah,
might
it just gets in their head. It's too much to think about at a time when, they're supposed to be in the hack and just kind of lining up their shot.
also, honestly, we're club curlers. We're not that good, right? I've been doing
Yeah.
this for 13 years. I'm not that good. But if we have a rough gauge of the weight and a rough gauge of where you need to let the rock go, 9 times out of 10, something good's going to happen. What I think you're probably struggling with is all of a sudden the shooter's like trying to visualize your call, and
Yeah.
so then they're guessing what they think the weight should be rather than throwing the weight that you're calling.
Yep. Pretty much. It just comes down to being like, this is really going to be, if it looks up, or if the sweepers say it's up a little bit, we've got a
Mm-hmm.
plan B in it. Me and my vice really talk about our plan Bs before we throw and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes I just want to know, like, where am I hitting the stone? And I go, I even said this when we were playing for you. One of the people shooting was, where am I going to hit that? And I go, you're going to hit the broom.
Yeah.
I felt really smart saying, I go, you're going to hit the broom is what you're going to hit at that
Mm-hmm.
weight. And I was like, oh, maybe I should write a book on curling. I don't know. I don't know.
Nice segue.
Yeah. So I alluded to the book. I own it. I don't know if I finished it, but that's just true of every book. Bare Bones Stones. It's like available in our club. I've seen people walking around with it. You're officially an author. Um, did you just look out at the landscape and say, there's actually nothing on this besides there's a couple of Russ Howard books they read like college textbooks and stuff like that. You just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to kind of bring a little life to the subject?
Yeah, so I had grand plans for the 2018 Olympics of doing like a series of blog posts and just like humorous, let's kind of explain what people are watching, that sort of thing. And then I got about 15,000 words into various what became chapters. And I'm like, why don't I just do a book? It
Yeah.
was too late to try to find an agent and do all of that stuff. And it probably would have gotten a no anyway. So I did a little research on self-publishing, and doing it through Amazon was super easy. And then it turned out to be pretty successful.
That's cool.
But again, yeah, it's Russ Howard. Sure, he writes a book on how to do competitive curling,
Yeah.
or there's Gabrielle, and I blanking on her last name, out in San Francisco, who's written some curling books. But again, it's not for the 100,000 people who watch curling only during the Olympics and all they know are Cheetos and Taco Bell ads, right? Which air during the Leeds rocks.
Yeah. And
So,
sometimes in the thirds, back when the major networks, or whenever the major networks have control of curling, they seem to throw commercials at the weirdest times.
oh yeah,
Okay,
no, it's super
it's
annoying.
it. Yeah,
Oh,
speaking of Scotties, I like how they throw those over the leads. It's unfortunate, but that's the trade-off. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Throwing into this nutty stuff.
mm-hmm. Is it gonna get there? Nah, it's gonna be short.
Ooh,
Didn't curl.
didn't curl. Let's
Yeah,
see if I got a sticker for that.
a didn't curl sticker.
Well, I've kind of got this one I've been using. Oh, wait, we got to pay some bills here.
When you feel enough,
We're monetized now.
Are we?
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
That was fast.
I know it surprised me when the Labatt
You're
people
apparently-
called me up.
You're apparently getting baby loonies.
Look at this chili.
What's that, chili? It looks
I
like
think so.
beans.
Here's my favorite. Look at random polar bear.
Some guy at Coca-Cola saw that ad and was like, yes, polar
Yeah.
bears. Polar bears.
Yeah, that's the origin of it.
More and more polar bears.
Yeah. But yeah, so once this became the Notties, it's sort of become like, let's masculinize this whole podcast for one episode. We're going to talk about beer. All my Rachel Homan stickers about nice shot, they're gone. I just got dudes now. Like I said, on that blown shot, I got my Brad Gushu. Ah, jeez. I got a million ways to just torment these guys,
Yes.
but they're just dudes. They can handle it. We're all going to just be masculine today. And I'm not even sad that I'm missing Sturme Anderson right now. I'm not even sad,
Well, you know.
They're both 2-0, and it's just the game to watch. And I was like, shit, I got to do this thing with Joel.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing. You can always start the stream at the beginning. For whatever reason, curling is like unlike any other sport, right? If there's a Guardians game and I already know the result, or a Minnesota United game and I already know the result, I can't watch it. I'll watch the highlights.
Yeah.
But I can just turn on any old curling game and be mesmerized.
Yeah,
right?
even if, like you said, even if you know the result, it's still like I want to see how they got there. I want to see how they fought this off, and anything that looks close is something I'll watch for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Did he ask for more broom? Did he want to throw from the other side? Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, so okay, I'll introduce the Scotties because you're not watching right now. You haven't caught anything.
I haven't watched any yet. I will probably all week, but I took a little bit of a day off from curling yesterday.
Weird, gross.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's been phenomenal. The opening match, Caitlin Laws. I don't want to spoil anything. Caitlin Laws. I mean, it was at the end of the day, it was probably the best curling match I've watched in like a year, just in terms of like, just right up to the last stone, and young team playing Caitlin Laws, and it was great, man. I was like, Scotties are back. It's back. Yeah. It's TSN. It's got just that. Yeah, totally. Vic Rauter's like sort of not doing much this year. It's kind of bumming me out. He's not in the booth, that's for sure. I don't know why that is. I know he's doing all like the intro stuff and talking, like introducing Alberta and stuff. But yeah, he's not in the booth. It's Russ and Joanne
Courtney.
Yeah, Joanne Courtney, and then obviously they've still got the B squad, which is who's the lady that is just like the smartest technical curler. Her son is curling from Alberta right now.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Murdoch or something like that, or
yeah. And now that you've taken me down that path, it'll come to me in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, she's like, what I love about TSN covering the Scotties and Brian, like Russ Howard and whoever's got up in the booth with them, they do just a great job. They make it really accessible. She comes in and she does these updates from other sheets.
Is it Cheryl Bernard?
No, she retired. She used to be up in the booth like full time. Yeah, she's from Quebec. At least that's my understanding of it. She's awesome. I'll Google her in a second. But she does the exact opposite of what this podcast is trying to do and what I think Russ does. She is like a curling analytics wizard, and she just breaks the game down into this technical way that I can handle her in small doses because that's kind of her. She does the updates and stuff like that.
Yep.
But when she covers the whole game from start to finish, she hurts my brain. She is talking like 5 shots in advance, which is exactly what the other hosts are doing, but they like realize that some of us are mortals, and so it's just a great squad over there. They've got a little bit of everything, and I just love it. Scotty season is the best.
Yeah, no, it's really enjoyable, and what is also really enjoyable about it is they're not talking down to us. Right? In Canada, there's no talking down. When we get American telecasts, and some of that's changing a little bit, but you always get the play-by-play person is not a curler.
Yeah.
And they feel the need to constantly explain that there are 4 players on each team. Each player throws 2, and do that whole thing over and over and over again.
Oh, I mean, after the 2018 Olympics, when NBC had like Tuesday Night Curling in America or something, this is my impression of every telecast that they did. So anyway, third stone's up here. We're back from commercial, and you go, "What the fuck did you take a commercial there for?"
Right.
Yeah. So what about those 2018 Olympics? And you're like, they come around every 4 years. Like, what are we watching?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
as we digress into whatever topic we feel like, but it's just like
Mhm.
they just never shut up about the Olympics, and it's like, meanwhile the Canada, the curling Canada and TSN and those organizations and those groups, I mean, they talk about strategy, they talk about the juniors, they talk about the provinces, and it's just like, yeah, there's so much going on in the world, and they
Right.
just never shut up about the Olympics. And it's like, yeah, we won the Olympics. That's awesome. Now, I'm pretty sure they've all moved on and they're looking at the next Olympics. It's like,
Mhm.
just be quiet. But
Well,
I
there's
was just
not.
gonna, that's a segue into, we were really lucky. I've shouted them out before. Curling Stadium covered the last U.S. Nationals really well. It was I've got some technical aspects that I wish I would have seen more, and they're just dumb. Like, I want to see more top down cameras, see the house more often, and stuff like
Yep.
that. But Ty George and his group they didn't talk down to us. So it was very like
Agreed.
if you don't know curling, you're gonna pick it up by the end of this game. We're not gonna shove it down your throat and talk about like every team throws 8 rocks,
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
Right. And that broadcast was for a very niche audience. Right. I don't know
Yeah.
what their streaming numbers were, but anybody
I
that's
know by
tuning
the I know by the end I saw Benton. Somebody said on Facebook that they got up in the over 10,000
in,
streaming for like the championship and stuff. Which
and that's amazing. That's
yeah, that
absolutely
sounds
amazing.
yeah, that's great.
Because I
So
mean, if you think like the Twin Cities are a hotbed of curling, and what do we have? 1,500 members, 1,200 members at St. Paul, 700 and some at Frogtown. You're not even talking
yeah,
10,000 curlers in the Twin Cities. But then you've got Wisconsin and you've got everywhere else, and all of our friends on the East Coast who are heavily involved in watching U.S. curling. 10,000 is amazing. That's really
yeah.
awesome.
I think it was more than that, but yeah, I was trying to shave a little bit off. I didn't want to overstate it, but
Right.
yeah, there's big things coming up. It's great. I love it. Um, Curling Zone is making stuff like this possible, and it's just making. I mean, have you noticed when like at our club when we first got Curling Stadium, and you would see the view count on any particular game, it would be like 2, and you knew that was like one skip, and the other skip like went home and watched their game.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see just random Wednesday night games with 40 views and stuff like that, and the numbers are just starting to pile up. So yeah, a lot of people are finding access to it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty crazy. I looked the other night. The finals that we played against Steeds last year, or my Wednesday night team played against Steeds, like 250 views. Now, I don't know how many of that is like people popping in just to watch, 5 minutes of it, or me going back to look at a shot that I threw, or whatever the case may be. But that's still pretty fantastic
That
for.
was the 248 of those were just you going like, I did
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, didn't
I,
you?
I wanted to see that triple again. Yeah, you're right. It was me watching it over and over and over. But I think that's technically one view if you just hit the 10-second back button.
Yeah, yeah, all right.
But
No, it's a good time to be curling. It's a good time for clubs. It's awesome.
Mhm.
That's why I kind of thought of this was just like, Twin Cities were spoiled. Obviously, I want this to be for all the clubs around the club and people that curl at them. But we do have an abundance of riches in Twin Cities. We've achieved this critical mass where we do have 5 dedicated facilities,
Mhm.
and we need more. Like, I think if people are like wondering if they should start clubs and get dedicated ice and stuff, it's like you'll find the people. It's not instant. It took us a long time, but it is kind of a hockey stick curve in terms of how long we just had the one club in St. Paul, and
Yeah.
then
Oh,
and then we
absolutely.
got us, and then we got us at Frogtown, and here we are 10 years later, and we have 5, and 1 or 2 more in the planning stages. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's nothing special about Twin Cities. It's just the perfect sport for everyday schmucks like us. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my wife and I did a spring league at St. Paul. Then we're like, well, where are we gonna go? There's no place for us to curl out. This was amazing, but how are we ever gonna get to do this?
mhm.
And then Frogtown opened the following January, but I mean, it was still Biff Adams and an offshoot of St. Paul.
Nice.
But that was just absolutely amazing. I do have curling stadium and all of that fun. Paul Azen, who's in my Wednesday night league, I think you did an episode, if I haven't seen it yet, where he was out there in all of his tie-dye gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brian Champion Westcott, who does the Palmetto Curling Club, I hate myself. I check Twitter once in a while. I just, sometimes need a little loathing in my world. But he had posted something about that, and I reply back. I'm like, that's just Paul. But it's just funny to think, we've got Palmetto watching a Frogtown game, tweeting about it, even though Twitter's irrelevant now. I think even he'd agree with that. But it's just fun, and I think it helps bring the community together, like the larger United States Curling Association.
That's why I wanted Rebecca to really kind of kick off this podcast, because she thinks like that. She's like, she thinks about like all these people she's met through social media, and she introduced me to he's given me a verbal, so I'll shout him out, Curlhand Luke. I don't know if he's on all the socials, but he's on TikTok. He's awesome, and I see him when they're streaming games on YouTube, even like this early Scotties games. He's in the chat board. He was like throwing out his schedule, and he's like, well, I can't do anything too soon because I'm going to the Scotties. So like, here's an arena guy who, I don't know his background, but presumably hasn't been curling very long, because the curling environment in Texas is just kind of new.
Yeah,
but he's already going to Wisconsin to go to the the women's nationals and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Keep going.
I was gonna say, I'd highly recommend that. Fiona and I went to the Players Championship in Toronto a few years ago. The funny thing was, every time we bought a beer, it was at Ryerson University is where they hosted it. So every time I bought a beer or bought Fiona a cocktail, on my credit card statement, it showed $8 education, which I'm like, it was just like college all over again. But it was such a tremendous experience to go sit, watch all the games. I mean, it gets a little hard if you're, oh, this looks shiny, oh, this looks shiny, because you keep flipping from sheet to sheet to sheet. But it was a tremendous experience. We'd gotten to go because of the lupus spiel. We'd won in the raffle, the tickets, and then got to go sit in the truck, the video truck, met the guy who has to bleep. Things like that. I mean, that was all really cool.
That guy sucks at his job. I hear more swearing on hot mics and curling than any other.
Yeah, no. I know. I got Fiona busted me, not for swearing, but we were mic'd up for a lupus spiel game at St. Paul because we were on the center sheet, and that was super fun, being mic'd up. But I kept singing "They Might Be Giants" during the game. She's like, "Shut up, or they're going to get a copyright violation."
Oh, I should note, if viewers of this are wondering why there was like a big dead space, about 10 minutes ago, that's because when I uploaded it, that beer commercial got flagged, and I don't own the rights to any of that. Oh wait, they're my sponsor. I'm sorry, they gave me total permission. But if there's a weird color bar, and some tones for a minute there, that's because that had to be removed. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, we had that at Frogtown for the Aurora Spiel. Broadcasting, we did all of our curling stadium games, and this is something that all the clubs have to think about. The last draw on Saturday night, they were piping music into the arena, which we do at all of our spiels. But as teams were coming off the ice, the ambient noise got to be less and less. And I woke up Sunday morning, because I'm still associated with our YouTube channel, and I had 21 copyright violation notifications because, the algorithm found that they were listening to a Taylor Swift song. Not that, we need to show Taylor Swift on this podcast, but that was one of the examples, or I think Imagine Dragons was another one. But it just cycled through, caught them, and flagged it, and gave us guff for it.
Do you think, as we try outreach and try to get people to our club, it's really smart to say that we play Imagine Dragons and Taylor Swift while they curl?
Taylor Swift is probably okay. Imagine Dragons might,
You've done irreparable harm. I'm giving you a cease and desist right now.
Yeah, no, seriously. Well, and Frogtown's a little bit different too with our enjoyment of noise out on the ice, right? Particularly during bond spiels.
We're the best. All right, I got masculine stickers here. Boom. High five. They were sitting pretty, and then Red had a nice kind of double to kind of put themselves back into a force situation, but he bounced back. He didn't feel the pressure there. So what do we got? We got tie game 6-6, Red hammer. For anyone that doesn't know, there's a club game. There's no chance it'll go more than 8 ends unless you count extra stones or something like that. People got lives. They got to get they got to get home.
I know. That's why 6-end games are perfect.
Yeah. We played a 6-end game when I subbed for you the other day. The Bonspiel I did the other week was 6 ends. I like the definitive nature of a 6-end game. What we find with our Tuesday night is we spend a lot of time trying to map out the clock so that we know when we're 2 ends away, and I don't always pay attention. There is something to be said about going 6 ends and just knowing it's going to be 6 ends rather than this sort of tough to pin down. Is it 7 ends, stuff like that, and
Well, the two things. So league night, I think league night's perfectly fine with 8 ends if you've got 2 teams that play quickly. But I agree, there's so many 7-end games. Some people don't like 6-end games because if you give up a big crooked number early, then you're chasing the entire time. I like 6-end games because it makes you play more aggressively right out of the gate.
You do, yep.
So there's no let's just hit a bunch of things and play for ones early and all that. Just get out of the gate and try to score. And that's actually what I like about 6-end games.
Yeah, there's something to it. Have you tried, speaking of 6-end games, have you tried the new format triples? I know some people
I have not. I started reading the rules, Curling Canada's rules, but I have not tried it yet.
It sounds cool. It's for those who don't know, and I'm going to butcher the rules, but it's 3 people, and they rotate their throwing order so that all 3 of them get a chance to throw lead, middle, and skip. And it's more like a skins match in the sense that you're not just going for points. You would play 2 ends in your position, and then if you won it, you would win a set. And I think it's a point.
Okay.
And then the first 2 ends are a point for each set, and then the last end is worth 2 points. The last 2 ends are a set, and they would be worth 2 points. Okay. So if you won the first 2 sets, the first 4 ends, you wouldn't necessarily win. You still have to play it. And then it's got built into it that either you do it closest to the pin or you play 1 stone each or something like that. Okay. They sort of overcomplicated a little bit with some of that, but the format to me seems fun. Being I'm on teams with guys that are just as good as me, and I'm skipping, and there's sort of this like, why are you always skipping? And it's like, I don't know, I've always skipped. And that rotating,
I'm going to put it on my credit card to start with. That's why I'm skipping.
Yeah, I don't know, but the board says Widmer, so here we go. That rotating thing sort of takes that away, and you get to still be strategic about it because the third set, the last 2 ends are the most important, so you put your best player there. But in some ways, I really think just like doubles has been put together and it's popular, it's growing in popular. I think triples could actually outdo doubles in terms of its popularity because there's not this get up and sweep your own stone, which is something that just a lot of club curlers just don't feel comfortable with. And so
not going to be me.
And actually in triples it's not allowed. It's the only person allowed to sweep is that middle position. So yeah,
interesting. Yeah, no, I'd like to try it. I tried doubles. Did mixed doubles with my wife. That was a disastrous idea. No, it wasn't that bad, but we see the game very differently. We'll just say that.
Hey, we've got that in common. We both curl with our wives, and I didn't have to play in a doubles game with her to know that was going to be a disaster. You had to go play with fire.
I think we had an inkling. I was subbing for somebody else because we weren't going to do mixed doubles together.
I got to change up my Zin here.
But
I'm not sponsored by Zin, but when I became a podcaster, I was like, oh, I need to talk about tobacco pouches on my podcast. Kids, it's a fine line, all right? But yeah, so mixed doubles is, I'm fine sweeping my own stones, but that thing better be like a 15-second hog to hog because if it's going any faster than that, I'm going to wipe out. And when you try to do that for more than a couple shots, let alone like 6 ends, the groin muscles,
Oh
they
yeah.
just are stressed. I mean, it's a different movement.
Oh no, it's the muscles that get sore in curling from anything, oh, my shoulders are sore. Well, yeah, that makes sense. But the leg muscles that hurt are not the ones you normally would hurt during sports.
Yeah, I don't want to scare anyone off that's trying to curl, but like as you get better and better, you try to keep that slider on the ice more time, stop messing with your gripper. But when you actually skip a game and you're floating from one side of the ice to the other with your slider on all game, you get done with that and your leg has kept you upright the whole time. The pros make it look so easy that they're just so nonchalant about it. You mentioned the other day, some kid did that advanced move, or as he's going back to the hack, he sort of naturally 360'd around, and like you just rubbed it in her face, you young buck. Like
They
that's a
do the
tough move.
whole with the broom
Yeah,
as they're sliding back, and I'm like, I'm never gonna be that cool. Just give me another inch. Like, don't fall on your head, bro.
Yeah.
Ma'am, bro, whatever.
All right, my favorite guy is up, Mr. E, Mr. Hat.
That hat is delightful. I don't even know what's on it. I hope it's not something horrible. Like, I can't. It's just blue and white, from what I can tell. I don't have quite the resolution.
You're locked in. If this guy has got questionable signage on there, it's too late. I like this guy right here. He's got the local 182 like sheet metal. I just love curling. I just love. You just got. I'm going to be featuring some Fargo and Bismarck games coming up, and I don't even want to say salt of the earth because it sounds like I'm putting them down, but it is like salt of the earth, and I love it. I love it. Another thing that I like about those clubs in the Dakotas and stuff is, and I'll never feature one because it's just obviously not my job to do, but I would say a third of the games that they're sort of broadcasting out, they're actually juniors. I mean, like these kids are like living at the curling club. It's really cool to see. And they're just, it's just, you'll see two teenage teams versus two teenage teams, and they're just having a blast doing what kids do, but they're doing it while curling. And it's like, yes, like this is awesome. It's actually something we need to get better about with our, we have a scarcity mindset when it comes to our clubs about how much ice time we have for our clubs. And it's like, we're not setting a ton of time aside to make sure that kids can do it. That was a great rock.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's hard because this has always been the challenge, and maybe this, with 5 curling clubs, the challenge has always been, okay, it's great we have junior programs, and I'm not talking competitive, but it's great that we do the junior program at St. Paul and what we do at Frogtown, but it's what do we do with them, right? Okay, great. Well, unfortunately, we only have 5 juniors who play in the adult leagues. They're not adult leagues, but only 5 juniors who play in the leagues. Frogtown only has generally availability for 8-15 leagues. So there's that challenge. There's that absolute challenge. Now, it was great. We have the mixed team that we played on Friday night, who are all juniors, and your son was able to get some rocks in, and then is it Will? Will plays on Wednesdays. Yeah, Wednesday nights. And then he subs in. I've seen him sub in and all of that, and that's fantastic. But there's not the structure for it. So you're really depending on kids or parents, I guess, who are more willing to monitor the Discord server or put themselves out there. And kids aren't always great at that.
Yeah, and it seems like, and some of the stuff that I saw was, it doesn't even look like it's not like kids playing adults necessarily. It just seems like they make more time. And maybe this is like when you're in the tumbleweed, outback of the Dakotas, maybe they don't have these leagues filled and they just have more availability. But it just seems like the curling clubs are just like a place where they can come in and hang out. And
you were not sweeping the rock. Did you see that?
No.
He was a good foot and a half to the left of the rock. I think he was trying to sweep it to curl.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just directional sweeping.
Speaking of kids, when my wife and I were watching our son a couple weeks ago, Bonspiel for juniors is everything from like 7 to 18.
Right.
There was this cute little 7-year-old girl who was sweeping on the wrong side of a stone while I was going down the ice.
Aw. we loved a joke. So Hagenbush, they
I played against her. I am her defeated opponent. She beat me.
So you know them.
Yep,
It was
I played
so
against her.
funny. We played them years and years and years ago at lacrosse in their summer Bonspiel. Fantastic that we had ice in lacrosse in August on a hockey arena. It wasn't the best ice ever, but we had a great time. We did 2 years in a row. I had so much fun. But that first year, May was shorter than the broom. And she's out there sweeping, and the broom is taller than her, and she is just absolutely fierce. Then her and Bella have just done incredibly well, curling overseas and everything.
Totally. They played in the adult mixed nationals, didn't they?
With Brundage.
Yeah, it's like that's. Which one's the older one or the one that skips?
Ella. Ella's the older one, May's the younger one.
And by old, I mean she was like 12 when she beat me. Shout out to her because she was super awesome. She would throw her shot, and she would have this full coat on because she's a skip and she doesn't get warm. She's got the vibe and all that. But she puts her one hand in her pocket and she scoots down after her shot. And I had just got done like binge watching some Briar or something. I go, "You've been watching Kevin Cooey." And here's this 12-year-old. I expected that to go, whew. And she blushed so hard because I busted her on it. She was like totally emulating Kevin Cooey after her shots.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she hadn't done everything that she's done now at that point. And I was like, this little girl gets it. She's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. No, I'm really impressed. Like, we made friends with the moms and everything, and they're fantastic. But no, they're just an absolute delight, and they have done so well.
Let's focus on this game for a hot minute here. How do you dislodge that red? How do you get? I'm assuming yellow's sitting shot, but it's no, maybe not. I mean,
I don't know that you need to. So here's the deal: if you give up one, you're going home with the hammer.
Good call. Yeah.
If you score one, that's probably fine too. I'm assuming they're sitting, and he just kind of threw that there. Otherwise, there looks like there's a bit of a port for it. If you're yellow and you want to be aggressive, there is a bit of a port for that tap. I mean, you can make it. You've seen it happen.
Now we're going back to red, which is hammer. Okay, I see what they're trying here. A little angle.
They're going to try to angle raise and pick the yellow off the back. Let's see.
I suppose maybe this is
going to be wide.
Yeah. I didn't really know what yellow was doing with their shot. Both teams were really wide on that. I wonder if yellow was trying to block that angle. That's probably all that they really had.
That would have made sense to me. I guess it's just really hard. I can't zoom in to see which rock's closer to the pin.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe this is an exciting game where they can't decide and then they have to replay the entire end.
I've eavesdropped on this already. They're debating if they should play an eighth end. And this guy in the green parka he's walking away from us now. Depends on which camera you're looking at. Jogging there. He's like, we're playing 8. We're playing 8. Which we'll know here in a second, but I think yellow scored. I think he technically would have won, and he was the one. Yeah, he was the one advocating that we agreed on 8. We're gonna play 8. So class act for the white hat guy. He could have just been like, "No, guys, I got a thing here. We gotta go." Classic throwing the rock through.
There it is.
I don't do that. I don't
Can
do
we?
this.
Yeah, can we talk about this for a second? Because this drives me bonkers.
Yeah, I don't do that.
If you are a new curler and your skip tells you to throw it through the house, don't throw a guard. Like they literally mean throw it through the house.
Oh yeah.
Because the mindset here is if you put up a guard, red's going to throw behind it. So the miss is to throw it in the house. Anywhere in the house is probably okay. But the miss is not to throw a guard when you're like, throw it through the house. We need.
And that's what I was getting at. My shot's going in the house. I don't know. I don't like throwing through the house. It gives them too much time, especially if you just do it again and again. Before you know it, you're looking at like 3 red stones and you can't even really get that position to just sort of lock something on. I don't want to be the first and I don't want to be behind the tee line, but I'm throwing something in the house every time.
Yeah, I mean, normally I would call that, but again, we're club curlers. And if the risk is you throw a guard that you're going to have to peel it yourself or God knows what, versus just pitch it through the house. Now, if I'm only up by 1, I'm probably going to throw a center line guard and I'm going to play like a straight up end and play to steal.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm up by 1, I'm going to play to steal, not.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
I
see what you're saying. If you're up by 4, that stone can do you no good at all. Get it out of
just
there.
throw it through the house.
Yeah, I agree.
But like right now, yeah, they're going to go hack weight, and if he flashes it, they're going to be in deep shit. Whereas if you just throw kind of a draw back there, maybe bump it out and sit, that's not great idea either, but you got to get around that guard. Is it there?
Oh, Neil.
No, it's through. So you threw too much weight.
Yeah.
You threw it right to the hack. But now red's going to put one right behind, and then all of a sudden, now you can start peeling guards if you want to, but I think you're better suited playing.
And that's the other thing. The way if I can get something like in the top 4, top 8, if I don't have hammer and I'm up by 1, they're not going to feel comfortable guarding that, and so it sort of takes away their centerline guard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just how I kind of land on it. Like if I can get something on the center line above the tee line,
yeah,
their instinct is going to throw some sort of guard, and I don't know.
He's going to hit again, but if he peels, they're going to be in the same boat they were in. He's got to get that on the nose and double those 2 rocks out. Look at me getting all serious here.
Oh, geez, I'm screwed.
I hope either Mavis or I'm not sure, Gute are not offended with my emotional response here.
They can't.
He got one. No, he didn't. He got one. That's all right. That doesn't kill you. But you just don't want a situation where all of a sudden you got to make a miracle shot so that they don't have a nice easy draw for 2.
Yeah.
And part of the way to get around that is to dump something in the house and freeze it on that back rock. It's not amazing, but again, even if you give up 1, you get to skip stones it back or 4 rock end or whatever they do at Eau Claire. Ooh.
Yeah, that's sort of, this is going to take away the run back. It's time for yellow to put one. Ooh, maybe not.
Yeah, go ahead and hit it now.
Yep.
But again, you're playing into if you want to give up the tie and play 1 extra end, that's fine. Whatever their extra end rules are, that's fine. But if this thing drifts through, you've not taken advantage of what you've got.
The hat guy delivers. Look at that swag back there. He's got the drip.
Spoiler alert, it's over curling. No, yeah, it is. Yeah, he's got it. Nose and sit behind the guard. Nice shot. Really nice shot. Flowing. I can't wait for you to Photoshop your son with that hair.
Yeah. Totally.
I heard he was a little distracted on Friday.
Yeah, I heard that too. 13-year-old boy. He got wind that some girls have a crush on him, and that's Well, how can you curl with that on your mind?
No,
He did all right though. Actually,
Yeah,
I
he
was
did all
talking to
right.
him. Yeah,
He hits a
doing.
broom on every shot.
That's
It
awesome.
was the weight, but he hit the broom on everything. Really well done. This is going to be a really nice rock. Get it in there. Get it all the way back to that yellow. Get it all the way back to the yellow. All the way back. Okay, good. That's a really nice rock. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your son's love life.
How dare you talk about the game in front of us?
I
No,
know.
he was awesome, but he all of a sudden introduced the pullback. He was coming out really hot, and he kept pulling back, and those were hogging out. They were a nightmare when he did that. And I told him, I said, if I was going to give you the 20 lessons of curling, I think when to pull back would be like the 20th. Like, you've mastered all these other steps. Now here's how to just, be Rachel Homan for a minute here. And it's like, I was like, never pull. I mean,
there you go. Look at that. Yep.
And not only that, like throwing like 10 feet before the hog line. It's like, just let physics take its course and slow down, like.
Well, I thought the ice for sliding felt faster. So I was trying to articulate this to someone the other day. Like at Four Seasons, a 3.7 out of the hack feels much slower. See, I'm from Cleveland, the hack. The 3.7 feels much slower than it did on Friday night at Frogtown. It's like you were giving me these times, and I'm like, I feel like I am zooming out of the hack.
Yeah.
And so like that glide felt faster. And I know that's not a real thing. It's an emotional, mental, psychological thing. But it did feel
at the point of throwing, that's all you have. I mean, nobody's shouting out times to you or anything, and you just sort of have that feel.
Yeah. No, I'm constantly asking what my times were on my throws to like gauge, deal with my internal clock. It's not so much the weight; it's not so much the weight of the stone. It's gauging how hard I'm pushing out of the hack. That's where I did it again.
Yeah.
To like figure it out because if Brianna or Fiona tells me something's a 4.0, right, I can clock that. If they tell me it's a 3.6, it's a very different clock.
Very different, yeah.
Yeah. So neither of my teams use timing to really determine if they should sweep or not. It's more to provide more granular adjectives for how hard the shooter needs to push out.
Yeah. This has got to come around.
Oh. No.
All right, one good draw, and this should be tied, right?
Yeah. Well, so that's an interesting question. Right now, you could split the house. So if you just throw something over into the other 8-foot on the outside, then they've got to pick one.
Yeah. And they will, right? I mean, they don't want to lose.
Because, I'm sorry, red's sitting one. So yellow throws one to the other side.
Well, red's sitting one, and they have hammers. So.
Okay, right, yeah. So if you're red, throw it to the other side of the house.
Yeah.
Get it into the 8-foot, and then yellow's got to pick one or the other. Unless
and if they try to come around, you've got. I mean, I know runbacks aren't everybody's forte, but if you split the house and yellow gets cheeky and tries to put one around, you've got a run back if they ultimately bury it.
Yeah. But the question
if this isn't made right, you've given them something to freeze to if you're deep on this.
Oh boy. Yeah, he knew it. You heard him grunt. So yeah, they just hit and flop now, and they're double guarded. I need a telestrator because I'm like moving my mouse and being like, well, you should have thrown it over here, anywhere in the 8-foot.
If that Labatt's money keeps flowing, telestrator's in our future.
Flowing is the perfect metaphor for Labatt.
It's flowing.
Beautiful. Reminds me of the beer runs to Canada when I was in college.
I got the little Labatt's polar bear here. That's cold. That's cold.
Yeah. That's funny. So I lived closer to Canada when I lived in Cleveland than I do now living in Minnesota, which is
funny.
Oh boy. Don't oversweep it, boys. There it is. Oh
Came up
no.
short.
Oh no. Oh no.
The tie is all but assured.
Yeah. The tie is assured. All you got to do is touch a little bit of the 8-foot.
Full 8-foot, and you're there. Yeah.
Full 8-foot's even more than you need. That being said, we've had a number of times where, oh yeah, we need full 8-foot, and your sweepers forget that they could go to the back 8-foot.
Yeah. my lead has never let me forget. I mean, starting now, you've got the full 8.
No. Is it gonna die? Oh no. Yeah.
I like it.
Ah, it's good.
Would have loved to have seen if yellow had got that thing just a little further, if that changed
Yeah.
the pressure a little bit.
Would have changed the pressure a little bit, and it would mean we have a little extra time to chat.
Yeah. That concludes the first annual Notties Tournament of Dudes. I have to leave this up here, and if people aren't noticing, this is a 4x4 just running over the hearts. This dudes.
Missing curling stone truck nuts.
There's always next year.
There's always next year.
Hold on a second. Thanks for coming. Thanks for talking curling with me. People should go out and buy this book. And maybe you're a curler and you know all this stuff, but give it to, if we talked about our in-laws and our parents and stuff watching our games, give it to the people that are in your life that don't understand what we're obsessed with. I think that's a good start.
It is. A bunch of people have said that. Parents, most of the reviews, except for the guy who thinks I'm not concise enough, basically said, what? That one. There you go. Too wordy.
Too wordy. He's too wordy.
I want to reply to this and just be like, concise. But that's not fun. Concise isn't fun.
Yeah. Make sure he knows about the economy of words and parsimonious and these things that say it's not wordy. It's I'm making points here.
I'm having fun.
Yeah, and this is my cat.
To be fun.
People should know that this isn't just like a random detail. That cat, he's like a character in the book, right?
Little bit. He's on the back cover too. You can't see it, thank God, and I didn't have to put makeup on it, but he did this side, scratched the hell out of me last night. I earned it, but I was bleeding like a stuck pig for a good half hour.
It'd been great if you're like, Joe, I can't make the podcast. I'm unfit for screen. Monster clawed me.
Yeah, you can't. My camera's not good enough. You can't see it. Oh, wait. Yeah, you can. It's right there.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Oh, I made a special sticker for this masculine Notties. I got to use it.
I've met him. He is a very nice man.
Oh, man. He's the man.
He kicked my ass at the Lupus Spiel.
He played in the Lupus, huh?
Yeah, 2 summers ago in 4 seasons.
God, so he is just ascending right now. He is on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a little pitch, I guess, for people who don't know. The Lupus Spiel is a pro-am, and over the years, I've curled with Val Sweeting, who's on Team Narson, Richie, who, as you know, is from TSR time, and he's not on those billboards, but should be. Who else have I curled with? Trevor Bonneau, who's going to the Briar. We've done that a few times. He's now a drinking buddy of Jen Antela.
We do have Regan Burr is going to be on this podcast before the 2024 Lupus Spiel. So,
good.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. My one claim to fame, I think I did it 2 years. Marianne Arsenault, who she switched provinces. I know she eventually went to British Columbia. My Canadian provinces I kind of suck at, but she was we didn't play with her. We played against her, and I showed Lonnie, my wife Lonnie, like 2 days before when the draw came out and we knew who we were playing against. I shouldn't have psyched her out so much, but I showed that was like 2 years after she like got silver in the Scotties. So I showed Lonnie this Marianne Arsenault clip, and she was like, she kind of knew it was a pro-am. She didn't really know like how good some of these people. She's like,
Yeah.
this is who we're playing against. And I was like, well, we've got our own celebrity skip. And she's like, does she have a silver medal from? I'm like, no, not exactly. But yeah, it was. I love the Lupa Spiel. Regan's awesome. She's I can't wait to have her on. So
that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Regan will tell some good stories, and I have some great stories from it. I mean, I've done too many Lupus Spiels to talk about. I mean, but they're fun. They're great fundraiser. They generate a lot of money.
Where was Retornez where was he in his journey when you played with him or against him?
This was pre-top of the world, but it was
Yeah.
post-Olympic sweetheart, darling, whatever you want to refer to him as. I mean,
Did he win the doubles?
I believe so.
Because I think Italy took gold. Maybe it was 2018.
Yeah, and he also won that Lupus Spiel. More importantly,
did he really?
Yeah.
Nice. I just know that Italy won a mixed doubles. I don't know who the team was, but
Yeah.
it would stand a reason that he had a good chance of doing that because they have 5 good curlers in Italy. They just all happen to be elite for some reason.
Oh, they're insanely good. They're all insanely good.
In a country that could care less about curling, they are just like rocking and rolling right now.
Well, you know, they could secretly love curling and we just don't know it.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out when they stand at the top of the heap. Joel, you're awesome. Thanks for letting me sub on your team the other day. Thanks for coming on this podcast. I've said this to all the other guests. The first 5 guests are put into a folder of reoccurring guests, and because people want to know what you're up to now, so you're kind of signed up for that.
I'll do it again. This was fun.
Nice. Okay.
I'll make 2 drinks next time, though.
Yeah, I get one and I open it. It's invisible, but I have one open, ready to go. That's when I disappear. That's what I'm working on.
That was not about you. Your sponsors are going to be pissed.
Oh, I suck at this.
Gotta rep the brand.
Hold on, I'll get their polar bear out one last time. That's I just did them cold. That's cold. All right, Joel, you're awesome. I'll talk to you soon. Everybody, Channel 7 Club Curling, episode 3 in the books. Thanks, guys.